He hides the clone sack deep within the ship. Discovered, Jesley convinces Niko that she knows the location of a weapon that can destroy Tubal Last. She takes them to its location, the perilous confines of the carcass of an enormous space moth. There, they are intercepted by Gnarl, bent on revenge on both Jesley and Niko. He insists on accompanying them into the moth. Inside the moth, Atlanta is transformed and takes Roxana's place while the other perishes. Thorn's clone is decanted, and Talon realizes he has not recreated his brother, but brought an angry and resentful stranger into existence. They secure the weapon and leave Gnarl marooned on the moth, only to find that the gun can only be fired by a Florian. They go in search of the sole surviving Florian, Petalia, and persuade her to fire the gun. But the effort fails. The gun can only seek a single target, and there seems to be more than one Last now. Chapter 1. Chaos brews in the space between the stars, where one might expect a vacuum and chill wastes. However, plunging through Q space, plowing through a section of the distance hidden from most voyagers, you see the loops and snarls in reality, the unnecessary curlicues and furbelows and gimcracks that the universe has chosen to add, weirdly and bizarrely, here and here alone, which is why most people find it unsettling. Q space is where probabilities slide and skew like missiles skidding on ice, where logic steps out the door to pause for a smoke break, briefly replaced by its much less sane cousin wearing torn fishnets and an inverted beret that might have once been raspberry velvet. Q-space is where strange discoveries are made, unlikely coincidences are forged, and the unimaginable shows up on every side. You sexy thing loved Q-space. It moved with a grace that it really wished someone had noticed, but had resigned itself to no one doing so. It eased through it like a watermelon seed squirted between thumb and forefinger, moving unimaginable distances and at such a speed that the ship had little time to examine its surroundings, catching only glimpses as it hurtled on. In Q-space, mathematics can do odd things, can balloon and shrink in unexpected ways. Numbers are more whimsical there, or at least more prone to strange, inexplicable convulsions. But in the here and now, math behaved more predictably, and sometimes disappointingly. Captain Niko Larson added up the figures by hand, and then had the ship double-check them. They remained the same. She leaned back in her chair and knuckled at the back of her neck, trying to smooth out the knotted tension there. On the assets side, the handful of credits left from their last pop-up venture, most of that profit gone to refueling costs and gate charges. On the debit side, the fact of those ongoing fuel costs, gate charges, and other ways the known universe charged for existence within it, such as taxes, tariffs, surcharges, delivery charges, fees, tips, gratuities, etc. The debit side was so much larger than the asset side. She leaned forward to stare at it for a long moment before pushing the datapad away. There was a touch of hope. If she could get at the money from their insurance claim, the money for the destruction of their first restaurant, the Last Chance, back on Tubal Station. But doing that meant going someplace expensive. Very expensive. So expensive that if they went there, they might end up stranded, with only that handful of credits to satisfy a host of necessities. But that chance was their only one, as far as she could see. So the only other question was, in telling the rest of the crew about her plans, how much she would reveal of the direness of their resources. It would encourage a small measure of conservation of those resources, but at the cost of a drop in morale and rise in anxiety. Nope, that wasn't worth it. Coralind, Dabry breathed in a reverential tone that delighted Niko's heart in a way it hadn't been delighted.